Hello and welcome to the Early Bird Special with your hosts, Carole Montgomery and Julia Scotti. And now, here's Carole Montgomery.
Hey, everybody, how are you? Welcome. I have on my little, look at that, I'm doing my own publicity for the show now, I've decided, because why not? Because I don't have a publicist, so I'm just doing this shit now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Early Bird Special. We are 13 days away from either, this doesn't look weird. Okay, anyway, we are 13 days away from either total destruction or total happiness. My husband and I decided we were drinking way too much, so we stopped drinking, and we have decided that we are going to drink November 4th. We don't know if we're drinking to celebrate, and we don't know if we're drinking because the world is going to end. So that's what's happening. I hope you guys are well. It's hard to believe that we are still in this. Every day, the newest thing, and I think we'll talk about this because Julia and our lovely guest, Kristen Hartley, both live in Jersey. So the news now is that if you do not do anything, do not come to New York unless you're an essential worker, because basically what's happened is I guess the rate has gone up. And so now they're trying to say that we may have, I don't know what's happening. I seriously don't know what's happening. I know that I was going to maybe go to see my sister for Thanksgiving, and she lives in Jersey, so probably not happening. So there's a lot of stuff happening. So it's been weird. We are still trying to get through all this, and I hope you guys are doing that. I only wish the best for everybody, because I think at this point, I just want a good night's sleep, people. You know, I mean, I haven't had a good night's sleep since my son was born 28 years ago. And adding on to all of the agita that is happening in the world, I haven't slept. And you can tell by the way my eyes are looking. Anyway, I'm chattering. I'm going to bring on my fabulous co-host, because she's feisty today. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. Okay, so let's welcome to the show, Miss Julia Scotti.
Early Bird Special, Early Bird Special, Early Bird Special. We're on the Early Bird Special. Hello, I'm wearing my hat too.
I know, I saw that. It's very nice.
Because I don't look special enough. There we go. I'm taking it off.
Well, the reason I'm wearing it is because I don't know what it's like in Jersey today, but it's very humid here.
It's awful. It's summer again.
Yeah, and because of that, I have my little fan on that I'm going to be using. So because of that, my hair has gotten very dewy, and I was going to straighten it, and I was just like, that's where I am now. I'm just like, you're lucky that I bathed today, Julia. That's all I'm saying.
I can smell you later.
I'm just.
Guess what happened to me this morning?
What happened to you?
I was in the supermarket where most of my adventures happen these days, and some guy accused me of having penis envy. And I laughed. Yep.
Really?
I laughed like I got to drink a little.
So you got to explain to me how, you can't just leave us hanging.
No,
there.
He was mansplaining something about fish and blah 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 blah. Because I was getting, I think I'm a pescatarian now.
Oh, okay.
I was a Catholic, and then I was an atheist, and now I'm a pescatarian, and I eat nothing but fish.
Okay, and he was mansplaining to you?
I like salmon, so I was getting a piece of salmon. I'm trying to find out where it's from.
Right? It's very important.
I don't want that. That they're making salmon in Vietnam, and to be honest with you, the salmon swim upstream, but not that far. They stop it like Canada, and I don't mind if they're farm raised in the country. I don't mind, but not Vietnam. Anyway. I'm looking to see where it's from, and he's going the U.S., but they were farm raised. I go, well, thank you so much for mansplaining that. And he's just like, ooh, a little penis envy here. And I went, no.
Talking to the wrong fucking
That's
woman.
right.
You are way out of line, young man.
On the one hand, I was thrilled. I gotta admit, I got a little damp, and that was kind of neat. But on the other hand, I was like, how what an asshole he was.
Well, yeah. What
Anyway.
an asshole.
And needless to say, I got my salmon.
Ha! Well, the thing about salmon, and we go off on these tangents so everyone in the audience knows this. The thing about salmon that I've noticed, because I get my salmon at Whole Foods, and I don't like I like fresh salmon that's fresh caught. For some reason, whenever you get farmed, it feels like it's waterier. Does that make sense to you?
Well, you're fresh caught. What do you go out on the boat with them?
I go out on the boat. That's my other job.
No, that one's mine. I want that one and that one.
But I mean, like I don't like farmed. Every time I've had farmed, it doesn't taste as good.
I bought what is it? Hawkeye salmon? No, what's it called?
That's not Hawkeye. That's MASH.
Sockeye salmon.
Sockeye.
Because I never had it before, but it was very, very pink. Very, very salmony looking. Whereas the other salmon is pink, but it's kind of a peach. It's not really. This is salmon. This is. There's a crayon that looks like this salmon.
Wow. Wow. Well, yeah.
You want me to get it? I could show it.
No. It's okay. We don't have that much time. Remember, we have to keep the shows.
I forgot.
Because I have to run out to do another. One of the things about this, we have to discuss this off camera, but like doing this show and then running over to the crane is killing me. So we have to figure out. We may have to change. Let me ask the audience if we change the early bird special to like a Tuesday, but the same time, would that be okay with everybody? If anybody wants to comment on that, let me know, because I think that would make it easier for me to have to, because I can't do two things at once anymore. I just, it's enough that I can get up in the morning and take a shit. And
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now hey, one last thing before we bring on our guest. I got a bike exerciser, that I can hook my bike to. And so I can ride the bike indoors.
Oh, like wow. How is that?
Oh, it's great. I finally got it hooked up, but I'm tall, but I got a step ladder because it raises. You got getting on and getting off. I'm probably getting more exercise than actually pedaling. But boy, you really feel it. So I highly recommend it for those, with the cold weather coming and you can't ride your bike. So
very good. That's very smart. And we're going to get an air fryer because I think that's going to be my Christmas present. So my husband said to me, "Can you make taco shells in an air fryer?" I said, "I have no idea, honey."
I think you could probably make, you can make jerky.
Oh, okay. So then maybe we'll make jerky taco shells.
Okay.
Anyway, let's bring on our fabulous guest. We'll talk all about her fabulous career, but we love her because she directed the second Showtime special, and she was just, I love having women behind the scenes. And Julia had said, we'd interviewed a lot of women who are comedians, but we starting with last week with Susan Sandler, we decided we want to try to also deal with women who have been behind the scenes in comedy too.
And next, we're going to do women who have been behind bars. That's our next. That's coming in the spring of 2021. I'm sorry.
Well, no, actually, the woman who wrote Orange is the New Black, we should find her, Genji Cohen.
We should. Would you love that?
Oh, I would. All right, so let's bring her on. Here's Kristen Hartley. Yay! Hi,
thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being had.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been a while since I've been had.
Well,
join the club.
You're a mother of a small child. You won't be had until he's gone, and even then. How are you? How are you dealing with everything that's happening?
I mean, it's pretty much everything that you ladies have been saying because, I'm a fan of the show, obviously, and a fan of the two of you. It's a fucking shit show all day, every day.
Yeah.
I mean, so now I've got, my son is, first grade. He's special needs. And so we're homeschooling, which is the biggest, forget it.
I can imagine.
And so then I don't even start working until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so now I'm working until like 1, 2 in the morning. And that would be fine if I was at least, like on set, on stage, like working the way we used to work, because then that adrenaline, but it just like by like 10 o'clock at night, you just hit a wall. It's exhausting. And I just have so much anxiety over this election. I have so much anxiety. I have woken up every night between 3 and 4:30 in the morning, and I can't go back to sleep.
Well, that's what I posted that on Facebook.
Yeah.
I literally wake up and then, like, it's interesting to see the comments. And one of the women said, and I look into everything. She goes, well, usually when you wake up at 3 o'clock, it has something to do with your liver. And I said, well, that would make sense, except I haven't drank in 2 weeks. So, but it also means, like in the chart, some chakra, the ki, the kai, I don't know what it is, but they say
the chi.
Chi. That's when you wake up at a specific time every night. That's stress. That's absolutely anxiety. So we're all in the same boat, right? Julia, are you sleeping through the night?
Well, no. I mean, and it's it has nothing to do with my liver. I just gotta pee. I'm old. That's really it. I still have back problems. Yeah, and my arthritis acts up. But I wanted to ask you, because you're working from home, but how are you producing product? Are you?
It's an excellent question, Julia. So right now,
I didn't spend 12 years in high school for nothing.
So right now it's kind of different across the board. So there's scripted is back in. So meaning like your big TV shows, movies, that kind of stuff, because in the world of like content creation, that stuff is just too big to fail. They just can't not make new, because you have, advertising commitments, all that stuff. And so everybody, especially things that are where the money's already been spent, the insurance is already done. So my husband's been back to work, which has been phenomenal, not just because being the sole breadwinner sucks for the last 8 months, but also if he didn't get the fuck out of my house, I swear to God, I could have been your woman behind bars, because
what does he
gonna kill him.
What does he do?
He's a cameraman.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. So are they doing, is he on is he just doing freelance right now?
So right now he is doing Tina Fey's new show, Girls Faveva. And yes, that's how it's pronounced, for Paramount.
Okay. And is it that's a TV show?
Yes, it is. It's going to be for streaming. Is it?
What's it called?
No, it's Peacock. It's for Peacock, not Paramount. Sorry about that. It's for the Peacock. It's called Girls 5 Eva. So it's girls and then the number 5 and then EVA. It is meant to be kind of a spoof on like the Spice Girls. It's basically a girl band that were popular, and now they're all old, and they're and they're all grown ass women with and they've all like moved on since 20 something years ago. And a rapper samples one of their songs, and as we all know, these new kids these days, they don't know the good movies, they don't know the good bands, and so the kiddos are like, oh, this is like cute poppy music, so their music starts becoming popular again. So then the agent reaches out and is like, oh, should you girls we'll see.
But now are they here's my question. So are they is the crew, I would think, that are they wearing masks, and like how are they doing that?
Yeah. So right now, not to speak too much to just that production, but the other stuff that people are doing right now, a lot of the stuff I'm doing right now is commercials and digital content. A lot of the digital content is being filmed, and they're doing it where you go in and you have a camera person who is handling their own camera, as opposed to where you have a camera operator, you have a focus puller, you have a director of photography. It's kind of like less bloated. Things got pretty bloated there for a long time. So we're sort of going back to the way that we filmed things back in like 2011, 2012, with the proliferation of publishers and digital content, because everybody was leaner and meaner.
Right.
And so everybody's now just going back to like, oh, my whole job is just to move this cable.
Right.
And so like now people are actually like, multitasking as long as they're not union. So a lot of that stuff has gone back. Reality is going back, and so lots of daily testing.
Oh, so they are doing the rapid testing.
Oh, yeah.
That was the big thing, because before everybody started to go back, there was a great article on Tyler Perry, because he has I think he bought, I want to say it was
he has an entire studio. He bought like a mini city in Atlanta that is his. Yeah.
It used to be.
He was the first to bring his people back. Yes.
Right. And he I think it was a former military base. So when they would shoot something, they would go into the bubble like the way the NBA did, where they go in. If you're hired for a Tyler Perry, you're there. They feed you, they take care of you, and you just stay on that set. So the rapid testing, is it the one where it's like takes 15 minutes and they test? Do you know that offhand?
Yeah, I do. So they're doing everything from temperature, all of the productions that I'm familiar with, which are productions that are happening right now in New York and Los Angeles, are, unfortunately, none of them are comedy, which is heartbreaking, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But like food is back to be like doing food shoots, reality, all that stuff.
Right,
so what they're doing is everybody goes into a queue, and you get temperature checked, and then they do the brain splicer.
Right.
And then they do the rapid testing. Everybody, kind of goes to their corner. Everyone's wearing masks all the time. There's hand sanitizer stations. Every set has at least one COVID compliance officer. I think we're going to start to see a real proliferation of like people that were like, I was a hair and makeup artist and now I'm a COVID compliance officer. I was a location scout and now I'm a COVID because that is like the new job.
Right.
Because you're essentially a hall monitor from second grade, where all you're doing is walking around and telling people what to do and what not to do, and having unsolicited opinions.
Let me ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the paring down in crew and staff, do you think that's a permanent situation? And it's very reminiscent. At least you said throwback. I was going back to silent movie, with the one person with the camera on the tripod, and that was it. And there was that no lighting or anything like that. Do you see that paring down as?
I mean, I hope so. I really hope so. That is one of the things that I like about having done a lot of different styles of content creation. Like I can run a 75 person set, and I can go in and go shoot something that only has 5 people on it. I think that it will never be permanent in the scripted world, because scripted is all union, and those union guys.
Well, that was what I was trying to get to. Yeah,
once you start getting into 52 and the Teamsters and all that stuff, like that's never like anybody who's in a union, they're all going to want to maintain that division of church and state of like what your role is. But I do think that it will. I don't know if it'll be permanent, but I think it's going to stick around a lot longer than like a year or two. Because people are trying to figure out how to do stuff less expensive.
Right. But just on that point, and we've talked about this on the show, is, Broadway is not coming back till June.
No.
And, and everyone knows my husband works on Broadway and everything. But the thing that everyone has been saying is that, well, if people don't understand, like if bowling alleys are open and this is open, why can't they have half capacity in Broadway? Well, then it's not financially feasible for the producers to do that.
Right.
So that's why, I think the COVID restrictions are going to be in place for a very long time, for at least a couple of years, because we still have to figure out what this is. The thing that we keep talking about, and with the people that are the anti-maskers and and that it's a hoax and everything, and I've said this on the show before, is you don't know how this is going to affect your body. This virus.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like I talk about my poor doorman, who was 30 years old, healthy, ran. He probably has to be on heart medication the rest of his life because he had COVID.
Absolutely. And the more that they discover that this is a vascular disease and not a disease of the lungs, once something gets into your blood and it's affecting, the arteries and the veins in your body, that's a whole different ball of wax, because now it's not contained. It can, that's why it manifests so differently in everyone, is because you never know what organs or what systems are going to be affected by it.
Right. And the reason, go ahead, Julia.
No, I was just, so as the mother of a first grader, you said?
Yeah.
How are you, are you going on set? I mean, and how are you keeping sane if you are?
So it's actually the opposite. The doing it remotely is what is absolutely maddening, because especially when you're directing or trying to create like a narrative of something, it's really hard to do that like virtually. And also, we got into this because we love that physical, tangible energy that we all, have. And so, for me, it's actually being trapped at home for the last 8 months. It's like, oh, here are the things that you like the least about your life, and now this is all you have. So, like, cooking.
I guess what I'm asking is, how does one direct remotely? How do you do that?
It's I'm serious. So there's lots of the kits on Amazon where people are using their phones, because a lot of times people are if you have an iPhone 11 or an 11S or, a newer generation, the camera on those phones is fantastic. And so people are buying tripods and ring lights and Kinos and like setting things up like in their home. Sometimes when you're working with the celebrity talent, you will have like 2 grip and electrics, go in, and they will like be spread out, like set up something. And then you're looking at, on camera. So you're looking at them through the actual laptop. So there's my husband, you should have my husband on sometime. But he can tell you about the actual technology of how you're streaming so that someone can actually like watch it in their home, but you're getting whatever the camera feed is doing. Like, I know that 4 of the big shows right now, the major executive producers and the showrunners are all watching remotely. And
so it's almost like if it were in normal times and you were doing it in a studio, it's like you're sitting in
Video
the booth.
Village.
Yeah, that was an old game show, Monty Hall.
Yeah,
early 1960s.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I know.
My inner Rain Man came through. I'm sorry about that. You want me to sing the theme song? No. So you basically, if you were on set in a studio, it would be like you being in the booth. Only in this case, the booth is miles
your
and miles
kitchen
away. Yeah. Okay. So
right. And then when you're in the field, you're just, they have carts where they have, those plexiglass partitions. Boy, those people are making a fortune banging those things out. Those things are selling like
you need like a Pope mobile, where you can ride around in a
just a
bubble.
space helmet and just that's it. So it's a lot of that. So for onset, a lot of partitions, a lot of masks and social distancing and minimal crew. And then for doing it remotely, you're just literally watching your laptop, and you are, whenever they're finished with a take, you just basically take yourself off of mute and give your opinion.
Wow.
Unless you're Jeffrey Toobin, then you. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
No, I mean, we shouldn't pitch you ones you can hit.
Yeah,
that's true. If you don't want me to swing on.
Yes. What was I gonna? Oh, I was just gonna ask you something about. What was it that now I've lost it, because I'm old.
Me too.
So here's what we want, because you work behind the scenes. How has it been as a female director in a business full of, predominantly men, just the way comedy is? How is it for you?
How is it now, or how has it been in its totality?
Since, like when how do you feel? Because being a director is basically telling people what to do. And so when a woman does it, people get pissy. So
I feel I can speak to my experience and some of the experience of the other women that I know of. I think two things. First one, in terms of the actual work, it's been devastating, I think, for the progress that women have been making of like getting hired and like doing things, because there was such a good narrative of like making sure that we had more diversity, not just in terms of gender, but also in terms of race, you know, of getting the right people on set. And then all of a sudden there was no set. And it was almost like someone shook an Etch-a-Sketch.
Right.
And so now you're sort of like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You're back to the start. So it definitely feels that way, that especially now, because so many production companies and shows actually went under and let people go.
Right.
So now you have so many people that are looking for work, and it's way more show friends and not show business. So I'm just in the process of starting like a referral agency that is basically to get more women and persons of color, you know, on sets based on their resumes and the work that they've done, and
Right.
not just on who they know and what they look like and so forth and so on. And then the second part of that is that I think I personally have seen a lot of regression in terms of the way that people speak to women. Because I just think part of it is everyone's exhausted. Everybody's fucking tired, man.
Yeah.
Like we're stressed out, but I definitely, like, I have been spoken to so badly, like since like March, especially by men, because there's not that, like when you're in person and you're kind of getting another person's energy, it's a lot different versus when you're in a room with like 10 to 12 people and everyone's fighting to be heard.
Right.
And like, are you on mute? Are you talking? And who said that? And who goes next? Like, because nobody ever, there's in a room, you can kind of see who's going to talk next. But when you're in a virtual room, people just talk over each other all the time. And so it's a great way for especially men, you know, men of a certain age and of a certain stature, they'll just fucking railroad you.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always like, every so often somebody will talk down to me, and people like step back when that happens because they know that I'm going to just
move.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like but that we're in 2020 and that we can't just be accepted, that we know our shit. That infuriates me.
That's net. I don't see that changing anytime soon. And I think the best thing that we have going for us is exactly what you have always done throughout your entire career, Carole. It is surround yourself with other people that you trust and champion other people that you know are going to be loyal, that care the most about work and not the quality of the work and not about the bullshit, and that are going to be supportive of, you know, the other principles that you have as a person and as an artist.
Right.
And that's all we can really keep doing.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's funny because Julia started with the guy mansplaining to her about Saturn.
Yeah.
That we're still,
I saw that. Yeah.
That there are still people that do that in just regular life. And you're like.
So Julia, I'm going to ask you, how old was this person? Ballpark.
Not too far from my age, in his 60s, I would guess. You'd be hard pressed to find anybody below 60 in my neighborhood, anyway. But you know, I think he was trying to
make a joke,
or trying to make me one or the other. I mean, you know, I do. I mean, it's old school flirting, you know. And having been in that tribe, I recognized it immediately. But I was surprised, having seen you on set, and I was taken, you know, when you were doing our show, by how much in command you were. It was very admirable and so much fun to watch. Much fun to watch.
Thank you. It's hard, you know. You're labeled a ball buster or a bitch or this or that, and you know the problem is when I was starting in the business in the late 90s, you can't do that, like, hi. So Nice to meet you. I don't know what you think, and like we can totally talk about this, but I was thinking that maybe we put the camera over there, and then like you can't do that.
No.
Because every DP and cameraman and person that you're working with is twice your age.
Right.
You know, and also these are men that are the original like cameramen. These are not these like pansy ass guys now that are like, I have a focus puller and I have an AC and I have all this. These are guys that like, I am talking about like the old school.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was with Bob Shapiro, who was investigative for CBS. And we are talking about a man who was like in his late 40s, early 50s on 9/11, just running towards those buildings with a camera on his shoulder. Like, so you don't get to bat your eyelashes at these people. Like, so you kind of have to. Otherwise, they're just, you know.
Well, but also with our show, and Julia, you know this also, is that I've said this to everybody who's done the TV shows, is there was no bullshit. You know, there's no bullshit. And everyone knew that, you know, it's a female run show. The creators are female. The comedians are female. I've made sure, you know, my director was, my warm up was, the stage manager was. We had female camera women. You know, it was because they knew
I was in heaven. I was in heaven.
Well, it was funny because on the first special, there was at one point before we decided to do what we did, which was basically, for lack of a better word, the tag teaming, where there was no host. I was talking about possibly hosting, and the producer and the other director that we had for the first show, finally, the day of the taping, I went up to them. I said, you know what, guys, I think it's best if we just, you know, do what everyone said, and we'll just do the tag teaming. And the look of relief was like, oh, thank God you thought that. But they never actually said to me, you know, we really think you shouldn't do that. They wanted me to have my opinion they wanted me to come to that opinion myself without having to say that. So the fact that they gave me the respect to let me go and figure out, yeah, it's probably best not to have someone host it.
Absolutely.
Can I just, I want to jump in here. You had talked about, you were afraid things were regressing. And it kind of struck me as a trans woman, because we were just starting to make these little tiny inroads, you know, here and there, and people were finally hiring us for stuff other than psycho killer, you know, people. Do you see that? Were they throwing us a bone, or are they actually?
No, I really do believe that the entertainment community, not only do they care, I do believe that they care now. They care now more than they've ever cared before. I do. I really believe that. I also think that, you know, Justin, from what I've seen, is that now, especially in the last like 2 to 3 years, there's so much more mobilization of women and minorities and people being like, you know what? It's like, you know, we're not gonna take it, you know, like, it's like, you know, it's
Ethel
like,
Merman's singing that.
Yeah. And so it's just like, so I really do believe, I don't think it's an aberration. I do think, and I think that it's a slide back. I don't know what's going to happen after the election. But I do know that all of the people that, not only the people that I work with, but I'm in quite a few online communities for senior women and like, you know, senior positions of production. Like, so it's like not just like the 23-year-olds, so like women executives and stuff. And I'm in some really great groups, and we all do some really great stuff. And I think that I very much see that there is just this push to keep doing this, to keep promoting, you know, like women and persons of color and trans and LGBTQ. And those people are not going to give up on that, especially the women. The women are not going to give up on that. Like, that is the one thing that I like the most about being a woman, is we just, once you've pissed us off to a certain point, like, we have energy for days.
Right.
And so, yeah.
That's the one thing that actually gives me hope about the election, is that the deep-seated anger that women have, because we have all, without we've all been interrupted like that constantly by a man.
I've had men, who I knew before, ask me a question. What do women really feel? And I'm like, you better be nicer to us.
Yes.
Because there's shit going down. We're
Yeah,
be in charge. Here.
Yeah, I mean, women. That's the one thing. There's just this bubbling anger that women have, and after seeing the first debate, when there just wasn't when Biden just went, "Will you shut up, man?
Shut up, man!" The poor guy, he's tired. He's like,
yeah,
just shut up.
Yeah, I mean that was, and every woman has been there going, "Can you just let me?" So I think it gives me hope. I don't trust anything because I think that there are nefarious forces behind the scenes. So I can't predict anymore, I mean, because look what happened in 2016. But I will tell you this, and just to give us hope I was watching, Joy Reid was on Late Night with Colbert, and she said something, and we forget this. The 2016 election, neither one of those people were ever president, right?
No.
Now he's the incumbent.
Right.
And when she said that, there was like a calm that went over me. That doesn't mean he's not gonna. But it does mean that this is more a referendum on his last 4 years.
Right. I mean, it's interesting that you say that because I actually agree with Joe Biden, and and anybody who would have said this, I would have agreed with this. So I agree with this notion, having nothing to do with the fact that he was the person that said it, is that in the history of this country, 4 years of Trump can be considered an aberration. 8 years will not be. And I think that's where I just have so much anxiety.
Yeah,
and
I think,
and listening to NPR, it's like it makes me worse, but I can't stop myself from listening to NPR.
But it's a very valid point. It is. Because if he does win, even if it is by nefarious means, it means that there's always that expression, we're better than this, when they talk about us, and we're not better than this.
Right.
There's a 35-40% element in this country that isn't better than that.
Right.
I've lived there.
Yeah.
When I was at the Huffington Post, we were in the newsroom the day before, and I was it was back when I was directing Celebs Have Issues, and we were specifically getting ready to do the sketch I wrote with Asif Manvi, Flight Safety for Brown People, and I was like, he's winning. And everybody was yelling at me, how could you say that? The data says she's got this. And I said, because I've lived in Tennessee, I've lived in Texas,
right.
I've lived in Florida. And I'm telling you that these people are not messing around. Look at the state of Texas alone. I lived there for years. I went to university there. I went to Meadow School of the Arts there for theater. And my husband's family's from there, and my godparents live there. And Texas is a great example of these types of people, is that what I'm worried about is what's going to happen if we have 4 more years of him, is the Conservative Party is just going to give more power to the states. And you're going to have states like us where we all live in this bubble and we don't ever leave it because we're terrified to go over to those people because they're all crazy. And they have their bubble of, they just do whatever they want. Oh yeah, we're just going to ignore that technically abortion is supposed to be legal, but we're going to be allowed to slap a bunch of restrictions on it, so it might as well be illegal anyway.
Well,
that's what I worry about.
Right, but it is different this time. It is different in the fact that he is the incumbent. It is different in the fact that 31 million people have already voted. That always usually bodes well for the Democrats.
That gives me hope too. Seeing those lines.
Yeah, seeing those lines. I mean,
lots.
Thea said, she goes, I'm, she lives in Texas. She goes, I'm voting early. And I've said this before on the show. If the people who came out after George Floyd, if the people, those first few weeks with the Black Lives Matter, if the people who come out, and when I say the people, I'm talking everybody, because that was white, black, Hispanic.
It was everybody. If they're pissed, okay. And once again, everyone is discounting moms,
You really are
absolutely.
you're discounting moms. When George Floyd called for his mother before he died, that hit in your soul.
I put that on my Instagram. I was like, that was a call to arms for every woman who's a mother.
Right, and for every African American woman who's a mom, it was even higher because
I agree with what you're saying, but the voter suppression and the history of what this party can do. Like, look at the shenanigans that they pulled with the Gore recount in Florida, where you have grown ass people walking into a room and like knocking things off at like a cat of like just like, you know, and they ran out the clock. And sure enough, like, I don't put a damn thing past these people.
I don't either. I absolutely don't. But if I start going down that wormhole, I won't sleep until you know, I really won't sleep. So
polishing off a half a bottle of wine every night.
But that's why I stopped drinking, because my husband and I were drinking 2 bottles of wine a night. Each of us were having a bottle, and I was just like, we can't do this anymore, because, like I said, I have to get into shape, because when the revolution happens, I'm going to be out there with my fucking Wonder Woman spear. So I have to be in shape.
I see you with a camo T-shirt and a bandoleros strapped across your.
That would be amazing. You would look great in that. We got to get you one of those like hip belts that where you strap all the stuff in it, like Tomb Raider. Like,
listen, I'm right there. My knees may not help, but I will be there. So listen, ladies, we're already we're 3 minutes before we have to end. So let's first of all, Kristen, is there anything that you want to plug as far as your show, or, you know, what you're doing, or
no? I mean, right now we're in development for stuff. For me, I have a question for you ladies of like, when can we get back to work? Like, when can we go back to doing comedy? Like I need a date. I need a date. I can't. This, like, we don't know when this stuff is coming back. It's killing me, because, as you know, comedy is my heart.
Well, I don't know if you saw the show last week, but I signed a contract with G4 Productions, and
yes, I did. I saw. Yeah,
they're the people behind Menopause the Musical. They've won a bunch of Tony Awards, and they're going to put us back on the road. Like, we were hoping to possibly get some stuff from November to December, but the difference between when you book a comedy club, let's say in a theater, is the theater needs a good 2 to 3 months to start promoting. So I think we're going to start hitting our stride probably March, maybe earlier than that. As far as comedy is happening, there is slowly, you know, I know that all the different clubs, Julia can talk to this too, because she's done these rooms. The smaller rooms are opening. The comedy clubs in New York, I don't fucking know when that's opening. Julia, you want to talk about this?
I'm happy to go to Jersey. I'm thinking about driving to Pennsylvania to go see Kendra Cunningham and Leah Bonema, who I love. Yeah,
well, that's in Soul Joe's place. We did Women of a Certain Age there. But Julia, you've done some smaller theaters, right?
Not since this is. I'm scheduled to go to Delaware next month, I think, to do a couple of things there, but. I mean, you know, Dangerfields is gone. I mean, who would have
God.
in 100 years thought that would happen?
Well, you know, it was so funny, because it's funny you mentioned Dangerfield. So somebody was like, "Oh, you know, fucking Cuomo and De Blasio." And look, we all can't stand De Blasio. But,
God, he's such a scourge.
But the fact that, you know, they were like pissed off that, you know, that Dangerfields, and I wanted to say, they hadn't cleaned the fucking mics since the 60s.
But it's you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, of course. But it was so funny to watch people defending Dangerfields. I'm like, you really would go into Dangerfields after COVID? Give me a fucking, what are you doing?
That place wasn't really safe before COVID.
No,
after.
No.
Julia, what were you doing?
A fruit fly. It won't go away.
All right. What? This is, of course, we have to check out Julia's film.
Yes.
Funny that
I'm
way.
Very excited.
It runs through, what's today's date? I think it runs to the 20, what's today's date? Well, at the end
Today's
of this
the
week.
21st. Today's
I think
October
it's the
21st.
end of the week, I think it runs till, So you get your tickets. Newfest.org.
Yes.
I can't wait.
And I am doing the virtual shows at the Crane for the next few weeks, and then I'm and it's upside down, Julia. You're like Trump with the fucking Bible. It's upside down. Yeah, and next week we're going to have Monica Piper on the show, which will be fabulous. And everybody just stay safe. And we have a couple more weeks of this. Try not to overindulge.
And Hoda, if you're out there, we're holding a date for you.
We're still trying to get
We
Hoda.
love you, Hoda.
We love you, Hoda.
We're hoping for Hoda.
Everybody, thank you for watching. Ladies, I'm just going to split because I have to go do the virtual show.
Go.
Love
Thank
you guys.
I miss you. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Great seeing you, Kristen.
Good to see you, Julia.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.